Okay, so the next thing we're going to get into is cost savings, how we can pay for ourselves. So before we get into specific cost saving solutions, it's really important to point out that these have been proven in the real world. We've got proof of concepts, case studies, where we have an ROI and potential cost savings, non-destructive, of over 20 times the cost of using our product. So we have a customer that deployed IAM Health Cloud on less than 5 accounts, and they realized over $800,000 a year in savings using the strategies we're going to get into here. None of these are super complicated. They should be all fairly familiar to cloud architects, but with the power of the solution we're offering, it all becomes much easier to realize these savings quickly. So a lot of the savings are obviously just going to come from the way that we can help with cloud inventory and cloud management. Just getting a better view of everything that's going on, a more efficient view, a more timely view. One of the ways that we can help a lot with is as you go through your instances, making sure that you're making full use of reserved instances, which can save a lot of money. Moving from an older instance in an instance family to a newer instance in an instance family. That's always going to save you money. It's completely non-destructive, and it's one of the most commonly missed sources of savings. Auto-assign IPv4 public IP addresses. Amazon and other software vendors love to automatically assign an IPv4 address to a resource. That costs money. You don't always need it. You can move into a private IP, which is completely free. NAT gateways. NAT gateways, they tend to have, they tend to grow. They're overutilized or underutilized and can be replaced with something a little bit better, like a NAT instance. A lot of savings to be had there. And then you're also going to run into things like VPNs being used when you can use Direct Connect. VPNs are generally cost effective for small amounts of data. You're not going to notice a lot of savings there. But as you start to move more and more data through a system, the cost of using a VPN instead of Direct Connect, which is something that's not always easy to spot, especially across multiple accounts, really adds up. We can help with just standard bog standard life cycle management. So things like just making sure that you see how often you're accessing objects inside of S3, make sure they're in the proper S3 tier so that you're saving money. This stuff and more is a lot easier with IAM Health Cloud, with the AI, with the search, with the fact that you're seeing all of these resources across every account. It really kind of improves things, and it's the major source of the savings that we talked about earlier when the customer saw a 20x possible return over less than 5 of their accounts. It's mostly through things like this and also through just improving security. As you improve security through better visibility, you're going to reduce your cloud inventory, your cloud load, you're going to reduce cost. Then we've got, the standard tagging, visibility, tag compliance. So if you're following best practices, you're probably using tagging to help track expensive instances, turn things off and on. With IAM Health Cloud, you can search for a tag that you're already using to handle costs and visualize its costs across the hour. So if you have a collection of resources, if you have a collection of services that are particularly expensive and you're managing them with a single tag, you can check up on that tag periodically. You can set alerts for that tag periodically and do that on an hourly basis, not a daily basis, and save yourself 1/24th the expense that you would see. The reason that this is important, and this is a key feature of ours, is that Cost Explorer is daily. So anomaly tracking in Cost Explorer, everything else you get in Cost Explorer is, it's just by the day, whereas we're by the hour. You can search for a specific resource and visualize its cost. So you can search for one EC2 instance and find out what it's going to cost with us. That's the visibility feature and power that we have. You can ask the AI what costs of Spite, visualize what's going on, ask it what the most expensive items are, and then you can ensure that tags are compliant using our tag management and tag search stuff. And that's incredibly important for making sure that all of the most expensive resources are properly tagged so you can properly check costs, turn things off and on. So cost tracking, I think that if you've seen a demo, you probably get an idea of what we have going on here. But our cost tracking compared to cost tracking and Cost Explorer, it's hourly versus daily. That gives you more granularity. It gives you better anomaly detection. It gives you faster response time to mistakes. And it gives you just a much clearer picture of what's going on as you're moving through the cloud and responding to possible instances, whether these are business failures that have led to a spike in cost, or whether they're security failures where you're undergoing, significant cost spikes due to something like cryptojacking. Um, we can deploy IAM Health Cloud at the business unit level for cost tracking across multiple accounts that only belong to one business unit. So, for example, if you had an analytics team, or if you had a data warehousing team, or if you have a production team that have their own budget, we can deploy IAM Health Cloud across all of their accounts at the business unit level so they're seeing exactly what they need to see. We also give you better access to real-time tools as you try to track costs and set up alerts and things, because we're inside of CloudWatch dashboards, which is AWS's preferred place to do real-time tracking and alerts. It's much better for that than Cost Explorer. We're not a replacement for Cost Explorer, but we are a better frontline tool than they are. Custom data sources. This is something that we don't want to oversell and overcommit to, because this is on a case-by-case basis. However, the way IAM Health Cloud works is that we do have a technological ability to import data from other sources. So this could be metadata from a third-party service that you're working with that has an open API with JSON, CSV, something like that. And we can, on a case-by-case basis, and looking at the costs and what makes sense from a business point of view, add in, build out possible custom functionality to where you can track cost metrics or cost signals coming in from that third-party service. So, for example, let's say you're using Salesforce, and you know that if these events happen in Salesforce, there's the possibility for a large spike in costs. Or it means that this resource is no longer going to be underutilized, is no longer going to be used as much, and you need to move it into Glacier or something like that, because all of this data associated with this customer is no longer needed. They've moved on to something else. Well, and again, this is not something we have right now. I'm not familiar with the Salesforce API. I'm just trying to come up with just a general business use case. If it makes sense for the customer and it will save you money, we could look together at an API for some sort of enterprise resource planning or CRM tool or data analytics tool that you have, and see if there's a way for us to get it into the AWS dashboard for you so that you can plan out costs and see cost spikes as they're coming in from that other service or as they're going to emerge from that other service, and plan better. Again, not something that everyone's going to need and needs to be examined on a case-by-case basis, but it's there. And this is probably the most important slide right here: significant assistance from an advanced partner. Slide's a little messed up, but that says advanced partner there on the right. But what this slide is about is really about our support model. So because our technology is low level and robust, we don't need to do a lot of technical support. But we understand that a lot of teams who aren't necessarily used to finding savings or working at the granularity that we provide probably going to need some help with that. And it's also hard inside of large companies where you're always chasing problems to follow up on potential cost savings even when they're non-disruptive. We will do absolutely everything we can in terms of support and time to make sure that we are neutral from a cost perspective or see a positive ROI. That goes up to going in and doing some of the work if we need to, with your permission, like you would, the type of support you would normally receive from a managed service provider or a contractor. We can do some of that if we need to. We can help you create an action plan to non-destructively harvest the cost savings we've identified. We can help you set up alerts and take a look at your specific environment and see what you need to stay on track of your costs. This is all something that we can do. If you're interested in IAM Health Cloud, not for the cost savings, but for the other features, this is still something you really need to look at, because we'll make a commitment as long as your environment is large enough to where the cost savings are there, which everyone should be. We'll go in there and we'll make sure that we can identify enough savings to pay for ourselves and help with the implementation, help with the accountability, make sure that it gets done. Do we have any questions? Yeah, you can export all the cost data as a CSV. Anything else? Okay, we'll go on to the next slide.